everybody, so new review for you guys today. We're talking about the upcoming horror film, The Turning. So The Turning is a new modern take on the classic story, The Turn of a Screw, which is interesting because we're actually getting two interpretations of that story this year, because we're getting this film version and we're also getting a Netflix adaptation. The second season of The Haunting of Hill House is called The Haunting of Bly Manor, which is going to also adapt The Turn of a Screw, at least in some regard, along with Henry James's other ghost stories. It just should be interesting to see how different these versions are when you got a 90-minute movie version of that story, and also Mike Flanagan doing a actual series of it on Netflix. In The Turning, though, Mackenzie Davis plays a young governess hired to take care of two particularly odd children in this mysterious estate where quickly she discovers both the children and the house itself may be harboring dark secrets and things that may just not be as they seem. I'm a huge horror movie fan, especially this kind of subgenre with the old dark house kind of aesthetic, and that's one of the elements that I was kind of hoping would at least draw me into the film and its storyline and its characters, and unfortunately it didn't really do that. I actually felt like I kind of wasted my time leaving the theater seeing The Turning. I do my best to give PG-13 horror films a chance because you can actually make a PG-13 horror film scary. It's been done before, but this film, it fails in all aspects. It's pretty much a jump scare fest when there are scares put on screen, and they lack suspense whatsoever each time they happen because there's no build-up, there's no tension, and they do them so frequently that they kind of lose their luster immediately, especially in the very beginning. The first act has a lot of jump scares that really just aren't effective, and then you kind of just check out by the end because you know when the jump scares are coming. The building blocks were there to make this film genuinely creepy just because the old dark house actually is a very creepy setting in itself, and also they actually have a maze outside that kind of reminded me of The Shining in a way, but they don't really explore that too much. It's kind of just there for one or two scenes. But the actual house itself, it could have been much scarier, but they chose to just kind of go with the jump scares and elements like that. What's unfortunate is the film has a really good cast. Mackenzie Davis, Finn Wolfhard, and Brooklyn Prince all are really good actors, but the script has pretty much nothing to give them. There's nothing to work with here. Mackenzie Davis has no development whatsoever. There's really nothing to keep you interested in her character. She pretty much just goes around the entire film being scared by everything, and that's really it. Brooklyn Prince, I mean, she's an adorable little girl, but other than that, she's not really given too much to do either. And Finn Wolfhard, he's kind of like the creepy kid aspect of the film, but that's kind of like his whole development. There's really no arc for him. There's no arc for any character, really, and it's just really unfortunate to see all this talent wasted. It almost felt like the direction, they didn't know what to do with these characters. That's how a lot of the film felt. It felt like they had kind of ideas in place, but they didn't know what to do after a certain point. Because there are certain elements of the storyline where things get brought up. Like there's at one point, there's like a possible sexual assault that went on in the house, and you think that they're going to build up to that in some way, and then it's just dropped immediately, which was kind of a weird choice to throw it in there, unless I guess it was in the book, but I haven't read the book. But it's dropped immediately. Like, it's weird that it was even brought up at all and not explored. And then you also have this really weird third act twist that kind of ruins the movie even more so than I'll get to the actual ending itself that really ruins it. But there's just nothing here that really grabs you in any way. And that leads to me talking about the ending. There kind of isn't one. The film kind of just abruptly ends in a really weird, confusing kind of way. And it's definitely different than the book, because I had to look it up after the movie was over just to see if the book ended in that same way. It doesn't. If you're a fan of the book, I think this ending is actually going to make you angry, just because it just makes no sense. It's just a really weird way to leave this film on, just like the ending that it did. And I'm curious to see how others are going to react to that ending, or lack thereof of an ending for this film, because the film kind of is going at, and then it just abruptly ends, and it's not satisfying whatsoever. And I think it's just going to leave more people angry than it would be making people satisfied. But yeah, unfortunately, overall, I think this film was very poorly executed. I think if you're a fan of the book, you're not going to leave this film satisfied. I don't know if really anyone's going to leave this film satisfied. I'm sure there will be some people, but I think that everything in this film was poorly executed. It could have been so much better. There was the potential there, and they just squandered it, unfortunately. I don't recommend you check out this film. Sadly, it is still January. I mean, there's so many bad movies that come out in January, but there are still a couple good ones here and there, and this is sadly not one of them. But those are just my thoughts on The Turning. Make sure you leave a comment in the comment section down below. What did you think of the film when you check out the film? If you do, did you like it? Did you not like it? If you're a fan of the source material, definitely let me know how you feel about this adaptation. If you liked it or not, or if it was good enough for you, or you think it was a faithful adaptation to the source material. I'm curious to see what Mike Flanagan and crew are going to do for the adaptation with The Haunting of Bly Manor when they take some of the elements of this and put that in the Netflix series. As always, thank you so much for checking out my reviews. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button if you want to keep up to date with my movie reviews, trailer reactions, unboxings, and more. But next time, I'll see you guys later.